and necessities for life. A benefit to all of us, I wonder and delight. Within this smelly weed, there's more than meets the eye. So much more than smoking, it can cleanse our dirty skies. Cannabis, cannabis, we'll save the planet with cannabis. Cannabis, cannabis, I'll rest my soul, I'm sure. Cannabis, cannabis, we'll save the planet with cannabis. Cannabis, cannabis, not knocking on the heaven door. Even Prince Charlie has a high regard for weed.
Fantastic. Good evening, everybody. It's time for Hemp. This is Hemp Works. We're back online. We're back on the station. And tonight I'd like to introduce you young Dee. She's sitting down in Hastings in my old flat. I'm in Transylvania. Casper's in Colorado Dreamland. And Dr. Beth and the Muse are up in Seattle. That's an international show. So first of all, I'd say good evening, Dee. How are you?
I'm fine.
Dr. Beth, good evening.
Good evening, Steve.
Stuart, good evening.
Good evening, Steve.
And Mr. Casper himself, good evening, sir.
And Puff Puff pass to you. Thank you very much.
Right, listen, now we got a really interesting show tonight. I'm going to hand it over to the first part of it to Dr. Beth and young Dee, and they're going to tell you a story that really I find quite amazing. To have been part of this story, I find even more amazing, and what they're going to tell you will, I think, change the face of where we stand on the legitimate legality of what we call cannabis hemp. Yeah. So, Dr. Beth and Dee, if you'd like to take it away, I'm all ears. I'm gagging to hear this.
Great. Dee, how are you? How was the travel over?
I'm fine. I had some sleep today as the travel was really tiring, but...
Well, good. It does take a while. From Pennsylvania, it always takes a while from there. Dee, tell us your story. Tell us what happened to you. Tell us about your daughter. This is where everything starts, is with our children. What started, Dee?
Okay, so taking it from the beginning. My daughter was starting to feel pain in her legs, in her belly, and in her back. I took her to different doctors, and no one could tell me what she've got. She've been twice diagnosticated wrong and give her a wrong treatment for some kind of infection. When I get to the fifth doctor, they found that she've got leukemia. And they told me they will have to start a treatment with chemotherapy. At that time, because I already knew Steve and I knew his work, so when I spoke with the doctor, I asked him about the option that I have with the treatment, and he told me that the only option is the chemotherapy. And I asked if he knew about an option with a CBD oil, but he didn't know what's that. So he said he never heard about that.
And that must have just, for me as a mom, my heart would be out of my chest at that point.
Well, as I say, I know Steve for a long time, and I know his work, and I even told Steve, when I hear my daughter have leukemia, first thing it come in my head was him. Yeah, because I knew he can help her and he can make her better. So I wasn't that freaked out. I was sad, yes, but I wasn't that scared.
Okay, that's wonderful that you had Steve. You knew to get him. That's wonderful. So the doctor said that your daughter was very, very sick, and they suggested going the traditional route, which was
Yes, when I get to the hospital was Thursday. Yeah, Thursday I've been told that she's got leukemia. Friday I supposed to no, Wednesday I've been told that she's got leukemia. Thursday I supposed to go with the hospital. But I wanted to get her to the best clinic in Romania, so I get to the hospital just on Friday. Yeah. Where I wanted to get her, they didn't have spaces in the hospital, so I have to stay with the same doctor.
Oh. And how long did they say you would have to wait for that set?
Well, Friday, Thursday, yeah, or Friday, something like that. They told me I have to do something with her by Monday. So the disease it evaluated really fast. So they told me by Monday, so just 3 days, I needed to do something with her. And I wanted to choose the cannabis oil, but I couldn't get it in such a short period of time. So I was scared to keep her home because in her last day, she couldn't even stand up from the bed. She used to stay all the day in the bed and didn't want to eat anymore. And she started to get yellow, and she was always in pains. So I took her to the hospital on Friday, where when they started treatment with some pills, which it called prednisone, I think so, prednisone Richter. I don't know if this is the name everywhere, but that was the pills, and they keep with these pills for 9 days till the next Monday. Now, meantime, I give a call to Steve, and I told him about my daughter, and I asked him to come in Romania to help me. So we managed to get the oil Sunday night. Sunday night, the oil was ready. And I start to give it her. I start with 0.5 mils. On Sunday night, on Monday morning, same 0.5 mils, and after they start the chemo on Monday.
How did she do on that first day with the difference between the day of the CBD the oil, the gummies, and versus the chemo day?
Well, I can't say I know what chemo means because my daughter was fine all the time.
Okay, I meant the medical procedures there. Was she sick the first day after she had that traditional treatment?
Well, she was tired. That was all. She was tired. In the first days that she had the chemo, she used to be really tired and sleep almost half of the day.
Okay. And Dee, when I take a pause, listeners, it's because this is just, for me, this is just very, very hard. And I know it's hard for you, especially you Canna moms out there that have been going through it on your end over here in North America and around the globe. Dee, what kind of families and friends support were you getting during this time?
Well, at the beginning, yeah, I spoke with my family. I already spoke with them before about it because my mother got diagnosed with cancer like 2 months before my daughter did. Mm-hmm. So I already told them about this option, but my mom chose to take the surgery because she got something that the surgery could fix her. So she took the surgery. When I found out again about my daughter, I speak with all my family, and at that point they were saying yes, this is good, and they were supporting me. But in a couple of weeks, I don't know. At the moment I don't get any support from them, and they treat me like I'm doing something wrong.
Okay. And I'm sorry, Dee, for having to ask that question. I know that that's a very hard one for you. I know that there are mothers and fathers across the world right now that are supporting you in heart and in voices. I'm sure that they're on the radio tearing up and supporting and listening to this. So I'm sorry to have to ask that. Well, tell us about the next few days for your daughter. She was sleeping through, and she began to use the CBD medicine for the 2 days, and later we'll talk about the dosing, so listeners stay for that. But she began, did she begin by the end, later in the week, beginning to feel better during this time with the CBD or with the gummies?
Well, how can I say? I stood with her in the hospital 33 days. And in all this time, just at the beginning, like the first 3 or like something like that, the first 3 sessions of chemotherapy, she used to feel tired in the day that she had the chemo. But apart from that, nothing was wrong with her. She was eating, she was feeling fine. She did refuse to get out from the bed, so that happened a lot with her when I was in the hospital. Everything was fine with her, but she didn't really want to go to get from the bed and walk a little bit. So because she was scared that her legs will hurt her. She had so much pain in her legs, and she was still feeling scared that her legs will hurt her. So these 33 days, almost all the time, she stood in the bed. But nothing was wrong with her. She didn't have any side effects. She was fine. She was eating. She was happy. She was laughing. I couldn't speak with her. She was like my daughter. Yeah, like she used to be before. The pain in the legs disappeared. But because of the chemo, she did have in 1 day, I think so, or in 2 days, when she got the chemo, she had a little bit of pain in the legs.
That's okay. Dee, we have a quick question. Can you share with us the age of your daughter?
She's 4 years and 9 months.
Okay.
So she's been diagnosed 1 month ago when she was 4 years and 1 month and something. She was 4 years and 8 months when she got diagnosed.
Okay. And listeners, this is really important because this has to do with a child who at very, very young age, and by the end of the week, you said she was feeling better and moving about, and by the end of the month.
Yes, I even have the blood test. I didn't look on them to say exactly, but was less than 7 days when I asked for the blood test, and the blood test was better than when we used to get to the hospital. Mm-hmm. They was really good. Not really good. They was fantastic. You know, no one could believe that she can have that blood test.
Yes, and we'll go through that one later. But you listeners, we'll go through it medically later. But let's just listen to Dee right now. Dee, you were talking about the blood test in your from a mother's point of view.
Well, the blood tests are still looking fine. All the time they was looking fine. They never drop under the limits. They was keeping into the limits. She didn't need any blood transfusion. So she's on chemo for now, I think so it's almost 2 months, and she didn't have any blood transfusion.
That is wonderful, wonderful. How is she doing now?
She's a happy girl.
Yay.
She's not a sick girl. She's a happy girl. She's running around. She's playing. She don't understand why she have to go to the hospital, and sometimes she start crying because she's got a little brother too, and she's saying, why the brother don't have to go? Why just me?
Yes, that's it's always that thing about
Yes.
yes,
But-
yes, absolutely. Why can't you go?
Yes, but looking at her, well, I can see is nothing wrong with her. Even with the chemo, I can't say it's affect her because it's not.
Oh, okay, that's true. Dee, let me ask, how is she eating?
Really good. She's eating a lot. Sometimes she can't stop eating, and she even put on weight.
Wow, wow.
Yes,
Yeah, and she didn't lose her hair, and she didn't do anything.
well, she did lose her hair. She still got hair. She lost half of her hair, but looking into her head, I can see another hair growing.
Ah!
Yes, you can see little black dots that another hair is growing.
Oh, that is just wonderful. But she is continuing. She has to continue the chemo now. Am I correct on that?
Oh, well, how can I say? After these 33 days, I don't take her anymore to the hospital. My mom do.
Okay.
So,
And I know this is the difficult part for you. But she's doing better. She really is. Let's switch gears for just a second to a happier question, or to one that will lead. Advice for parents going out there experiencing this with their child. What do you
yes,
want to tell?
I can say something from my experience, yeah? And I'm sure that a lot of them, they are in the same situation, because it's scary when you hear that your kid have leukemia. And even for me, I don't understand why her, so that's the question I'm putting it. Why her? And it's really difficult to know this, and it's difficult to know that she don't have 100% chances. Yeah, because when I was to the hospital, the chances they giving me was 70-80%. So that wasn't enough for me, and that's why I look for a different option. So I know I'm settled, and I know she've got 100% chances. Because this I believe that the cannabis oil will give her 100% chances with chemo or with no chemo. I'm believing that she's in no dangers, and she will live and she will be fine.
That
So
is
the advice I want to give, it's never give up to the kids, because they can't fight for themselves, and we have to fight for them, and we cannot leave them in the hands of the doctor, because even with my daughter, she's been diagnosticated twice wrong, and she had a treatment for like 1 month with wrong medicine. And doctor do mistakes.
yes, they did. And how did they respond, Dee, when they saw her doing better?
Well, they never saw something like this before. It's 2 doctors who have her case. It's a lady doctor and the man doctor. The lady doctor is saying that this is the best case she ever had.
Is she a younger doctor?
I think she's around 40, maybe 45.
Okay, so she may have had some experiencing understanding the use of cannabis hemp in medicine.
No, they don't know that I'm giving to her cannabis oil.
Oh, good.
Yes, they don't know. So it's strange from them seeing all the blood tests and seeing that she's got no blood transfusion and no side effects, knowing that this is not happening. And it didn't happen in their hospital, as I say. The lady doctor say is her best case. The man doctor, he's a consultant too, and he's teaching the students. Yeah. So I had some strange conversation with him, and I don't really know how to take them, but me from the beginning, I used to ask for the blood test because usually they don't give it. But giving her the cannabis oil, I had to see. So I used to ask every time for the blood test. I used to get them really hard. And all the time they was putting question what I am doing with them, at who I want to show them, and they telling me you anyway don't know to read them. And well, I live in the village. I live in a small village, so maybe their thoughts is what's this village girl want? Asking all these questions. And
they better wonder a whole lot more.
Well, yeah, and I've been made from the doctor a normal, and he's telling me I've gotten a normal family because I'm asking for this blood test. And anyway, I don't have nothing to do with that. I can't do nothing with them, and I can't read them, and it's just a little thing that make their job a little bit complicating, me putting a lot of questions. And in the end, he made myself annoying. He told me I am annoying, and I am the most annoying person in the hospital, and I have to stop. I have to stop to put questions. I have to stop to ask for papers, and I can't change the rule of the hospital, and they will not give it to me any more medical records, and they will not answer me anymore to my questions. So that was the end. After that, I don't have any more blood tests. They do tell me, oh, the blood tests are perfect. They are really good. No one expects her to go in the way she go through the treatment, but I can't put questions anymore because they will not answer me, and they start to be rude with me.
That is many families are going through almost exactly the same thing. And I'm so glad you're sharing this, Dee, because they need to know that they're not alone out there. It is. So you're very brave. You're very brave, and your daughter is very brave as well to go, and for you to share this, Dee. Thank you. So you're saying essentially that the doctors wanted to wipe their hands.
Well, the lady doctor always was nice to me. The man doctor, yeah, he was rude, but I had an interesting conversation with him at some point, because the case was to the lady, but the lady gone on holiday for 1 week. So, well, both had the case, but the lady look into it. So the lady go on holiday for 1 week, and the case stood at the doctor. And he was the one who was telling me, oh, what you want to do with the blood test, oh, you don't understand them, and don't ask me questions because I will not answer to you. And in one day, he come in my room with a piece of paper, and he sit on the bed, and he's telling me, come here, I want to show you something. So he showed me this piece of paper, and I said, doctor, I don't really understand, yeah? So he started to explain to me, what's that? That was the scheme of the treatment for the chemotherapy. And he showed it to me, and he said, this thing don't really happen because you see the scheme of the treatment, it's with no interruptions. And almost all the time, at least one day, we've got to interrupt the treatment because of the side effects. And she go through all that with no interruption. And after he even said, and she didn't have any blood transfusion and no side effects. And he told me that I was in that hospital and I saw the other kids.
What was that like, Dee?
Well, I don't know, because I don't understand. If he was trying to tell me something, I don't understand what he was trying to tell me. But I felt nice because he was the one who was telling me he will not answer my question and he will not explain it to me. And I felt nice when he come in my room with a piece of paper and trying to explain me what that is.
And if someone had been there to explain it to you, just to take the time, then it would have.
Yes, that's true. And the other thing, they don't do that things because at the beginning I asked them, please explain to me the scheme of the treatment. And the answer I've got, it was, oh, do you think we've got time to explain to every mother what we're doing here?
Oh, Dee, I am
Yes.
so sorry because this is not the way it should be.
As I say, I don't know nothing about the chemo. I don't know how the treatment's supposed to be. I don't know what my daughter treatment will be next because no one wanted to explain it to me.
They just wanted you to simply do what they told you to do.
And shut up and don't put question and leave them to do their job. A job which, from my side, it shouldn't be like that.
No, but it is like that here as well in the USD is not only can they do that, they can turn it over to in the United States over to the authorities. So listeners right now are saying this in their homes. They're saying if they don't take the chances like you took, they're faced with the government coming and saying about, let's look at the care of your daughter in your home. How can we support you, Dee? You have shared this, you've shared your story. Tell us how we can support you.
I don't really know. The truth is that I'm not scared, I'm not scared about the authorities and I'm not scared about any law because what I use, it's legal.
Absolutely. It's absolutely. The CDB is an oil. It has.
I didn't use the cannabis oil. I used the hemp oil with below... The THC concentration is below 0.2.
Okay.
So,
hello, ladies. I'd like to come in now. That's a fantastic interview. Both of you have done a marvellous job. Right, Beth, I'm just going to take over a little bit here now.
No worries.
Dee, I want to run you slightly through the timeline, yeah? And when I mean the timeline, going back to when she was diagnosed, and I'm going to put my story in, that I got a phone call from a very good friend of mine, which is the young lady you're listening to, Dee. She phoned me up in Hastings from Romania, and she said, Steve, my daughter's got leukemia, can you help? And basically I was virtually on the next flight out of Luton Airport in London and on my way to Romania, a country I'd never been to, but I've had great interest in Romania because of its agricultural hemp, because this is one of the heartlands, as far as I'm concerned, of ancient hemp crops. Yeah. Now, I didn't quite know what we was going to do or how we was going to get around it, but I landed and very, very quickly we found a farm that was about 8 hours drive away from where we was, through the actual Transylvanian mountains. I landed, we hired a car, and I drove to the farm. And by the way, this show's not about me at all, but I'm just trying to put some lines in so you actually understand what went down here. I got to the farm. I'm not going to mention their name because technically what they done, they shouldn't, they can do, but they couldn't do, if you understand what I mean. There's a very strange law in Romania that we can go into at a later date, yeah? I went to the farm and he allowed me access to his crop, yeah? And I picked out basically a kilo and a half of what I thought would be the best selection of quality hemp. Now, what this guy was growing is what we all know, or what the UN, let's be very technical here, what the UN specify the difference between this cannabis, recreational cannabis, whatever it is, the high THC end. The UN has specified that below 0.3% THC, that is known as an agricultural hemp crop that has been grown in Europe for time immemorial, and in America up until God knows when, until the feds got involved around about 1937 or whatever. So basically what I picked, as far as I know, was an agricultural hemp crop. Yeah? And I drove that back and I took it to the village house where Dee's parents lived, and very nice people they were. And we stripped the plant down, the hemp plant, and we cooked it up. Yeah? Now, we didn't use the RSO method, and we didn't use any of this butane method or anything like that. And I'm not going to get too technical about tonight about the method that I've used, but basically we boiled it up in water. Yeah. So with an agricultural hemp crop, a saucepan in a village, which is just a couple of gas strings and the mother's cooking pot. Yeah, we boiled down some stuff, and we gave this stuff to the little girl. And Dee will run you through. We're going to put this all up on the web, by the way. We're going to open up a web page and we'll show you exactly what we've done with all the bits. But basically, we started to put this concentrate of cannabis hemp into this little girl's body. Now, I'm in a strange country. I don't quite know what's what. Yeah. All I know is Dee has given me complete trust, and Dee knows what I've been up to quite well. She lived in my house for a little bit, yeah, and she saw me doing what I do, yeah, and she had full trust in me. And I put massive doses into her, massive, unbelievable quantities of this stuff inside of this little girl's body, yeah. Now, because we rushed, if you like, we was lucky that we got the medicine inside of her body 24, I believe it was 24 hours, Dee?
Was around 15 hours.
15 hours. We got in
Yes.
before the chemo, right? Only on the small dosages, but when you actually understand how much the dosages were, they were quite high dosages. Now because we're boiling it in water and because it's low THC, obviously the psychoactivity side of it is not really relevant. Yeah. We got it in before they started the chemo. Now, the first blood test that we got out of them was 3 days after they started chemo, basically 3 days and 15 hours before the cannabis treatment. So the cannabis treatment went in 15, 24 hours before they started chemo. Now, I've seen the report of the bloods before we went in with the cannabis treatment, or the cannabis hemp treatment, and the bloods were all over the place. Now, after day 3, and Mr. Muse, who is also a trained medic, he's also on this show tonight, he's had a brief look, or a good look, at the medical documents that we sent over. You'll see that the bloods really started to change and rebalance after 3 days. Now, after 7 days, Dee showed us some other blood work, yeah, and I've got to tell you, they were quite staggering, yeah. To the point of that basically all the stuff that was too high had come down and all the stuff that was too low went up, yeah? So the bloods really, they called this homeostasis, they actually balanced, yeah? And at that point, I really did realise that this stuff was really doing something, yeah? So we carried on with the continuation of the hemp treatment, and they continued with the gnarly chemo treatment. Yeah, am I correct so far, Dee? You're happy with where I'm what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes, you're correct.
So after 7 days, we got these wonderful blood results back. Now they done a spine tap, a spinal fluid tap. I think that was what, about 15 days, Dee? 7
Yeah,
days?
at 15 days they do it.
15 days.
Yes.
And the cancer cells, and again, I'm not going to start shouting figures out because we've actually got medical documents that will tell you this. They came down from a very, very big number to a very, very small number. Yeah. So we kept applying quite large doses.
Can I let you? Yeah.
Of course you can.
They
Go for
can. I looked through the papers and I can't say it was 85% or if it was 60% because I have these two things, and they came down to between 4 and 5%.
Yeah. As I say, we have the proof of this, so whatever figures we're giving you, we're going to back it up with medical documents, yeah? So we let them run with the chemo. Now, obviously, I was dead against giving any chemo, but I'm in a strange country. The politics here were not very good. The family were getting a bit funny towards some stuff going on. So we let them run with the chemo. And then after 30 days, and the bloods, by the way, kept coming back normal. They're all within range, complete range. Now, I'm good with bloods because I'm an ex-medic, and I learned a lot about bloods when I had my own problem, which was hepatitis C of the liver. Yeah, and they were just reading. And this paperwork also, it gives you the ranges of where bloods should be and where the bloods are. And they were all pretty much within the middle range or almost perfect. Yeah. So after 30 days, they've done another spine tap.
After 33 days.
Sorry, 33 days, yeah. Excuse me if I'm not being totally technically precise at the moment, but this is not quite a technical show, as I say. We will print all the documents online so that anybody can view them. Mr. Muse and Dr. Beth have copies of them, and I've placed copies with certain other trustworthy people around the world, yeah. But anyway, after these 33 days, now, the family kept saying that they wanted to see 0, yeah, in the C count. And I kept saying, well, you won't get 0 because they're still giving out chemo, yeah, and chemo will keep a certain percentage of cancer going, yeah. And I knew that I was not going to get a 0, yeah. So I tried to explain this to the family that, yeah, you get a low reading, but you're not going to get 0. Well, I'm going to use the word fuck me. She showed me the reports after 33 days. Not only were all the blood sort of like bang on, straight in the middle, but the 0... Dee, tell them, what was the C count? What was the cancer count?
0%.
Fucking 0%. 0%. Now, also something that happened, I went up to the hospital a few times, which was quite difficult because obviously there's a lot of kids in there. I know that we've got something that can help them, but I had to bite my lip. Yeah, and too rightly so, because we're here for Dahlia, yeah, which is the child's name. Sorry if I've mentioned that, but it's first name. I like to call her by her name. There's all these kids that are screaming, they're in pain, they're losing weight. There was one kid in there, he'd finished the 2 years treatment, and the doctor brought him in a big sugar cake, and he was dead 24 hours later. Yeah, so we're surrounded by this, and the little girl. She's eating, she's gaining weight, her hair wasn't falling out at that time, she looked pretty safe, and then we get a 0 cancer cell back, yeah, with all the blood. In other words, the little girl, there's nothing wrong with her, yeah, literally nothing wrong, as far as I'm concerned, because if there's no cancer inside of her body, and all the bloods are normal, then that's, it's normal, yeah. So then we came up against obviously the problem. What do we do next? Yeah. So I think that's the timeline, isn't it, Dee? That we that's how it worked. This is what the results we've got back, and this is the bit. This was from an agricultural hemp crop. Now the seed that they grow here is very ancient, yeah, and the seed variety is hand-picked. I've it's. Some of them call it Charlotte's Web because they got different names for it in different places, obviously. But this is something that's been grown in this country since time immemorial, from father to son, from father to grandfather. It goes back, if not hundreds, possibly thousands of years. It was an outdoor crop. It was sun-blessed. It was grown in organic land. It was hand-poured. It was hand-processed, and it was boiled in spring water with a few other little bits and bobs. Yeah? Now, if anybody doesn't quite understand what the connotations of that are, is to get a result like that after 30 days is not only fantastic, and also if nobody will accept that it's a cure, they must accept that it's a preventative. Because even the doctors and the nurses and the other mothers and the family have seen that this little girl has not had to go through so much of the pain and the suffering that this horrible, nasty treatment gives. Now, they want to carry on for 2 years down this road of giving chemo to a little girl. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, we're in a very strange political situation because how can they deny this? And the world better wake up that high THC most probably does have lots of value. But I don't think there's anybody in the world that has boiled down cannabis in water, given it to anybody and come back with results like that. And not only that, come back, and it's not about a time thing, if in 7 days, 10 days, 30 days, or even 3 years. But to come back with results like that after 33 days, the world must sit up and listen. Because hemp is legal under UN policies and under European agricultural policy. Because it's below 0.2% THC. Now, I'm not a professor, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm a hemp farmer. I'm a person that's been involved in this since 1993. This is not about me, but I'm telling you the hemp crop must be looked at as a form of treatment over these high percentages of THC. Because we have medical proof for results. And if that is right, there is no law anywhere pertaining to us growing hemp. There might be laws on this THC stuff. They might be just, they might be unjust, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about agricultural hemp that we grow in fields en masse. Now that changes things. And if anybody disagrees with that, or anybody can shed any light on that, I'd like to hear from them. So there you go. Yeah.
That is quite a challenge there, Steve. Do you want to talk about that? Those blood work, now that the Muse did look at the final reports, would you like him to comment on that, Steve?
I love that. Bring it on. Because one of the problems I've had here, Beth, and Dee will tell you this, is I don't actually believe what's happened. I have to keep looking at this. I just don't believe it. It's not possible. How can you take an agricultural hemp plant, boil it up in water in a village on a gas ring and do this? Come on.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I was going to use the word unfortunately, the medical reports say differently. Yeah. Now, Mr. Muse, would you like to put in and tell us, please bring it on?
Well, I guess, clearly, this is a very brave act to treat her this aggressively and see such amazing improvement. I'm wondering why, if she's clean, as far as the blood work is concerned, which I've reviewed, and I've been a trauma room, emergency room specialist since 1975, and I've read a lot of lab reports. This little girl has a clean lab. There's nothing that they tested for that is outside of normal ranges. So I would ask why they would continue treatment, or, what is the situation? Can she now lead a normal life? Now that the lab reports don't lie, Steve. So
are you happy with the lab reports? Can we affirm that you're happy with the lab reports?
I'm ecstatic. I'd like to see more tests in more areas, but everything in this lab report is clean, and in a girl with leukemia, you wouldn't expect any of these to be in these ranges. So that's amazing. And
Would you go and ask you one other question? Do you think we falsified them?
Fixed.
I'm going to ask you that question.
The question is, are they still continuing traditional treatment?
Well, I can answer you to that. I wasn't with my daughter to the hospital, but my mom did, and she asked, and what the doctor say is they have to give it preventative.
So I'm sorry, because I have very strong feelings on this, because chemotherapy is poison, and in effect it's very dangerous. So it's curious that they would continue to do that even with I'm going to send my best wishes and just continue to read the lab reports both prior to getting the gummies and after. And I have to say we're just sending our best wishes to you and your daughter and namaste.
Sorry.
No, say that 1 minute, please.
Steve?
Muse, come back, please.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you another question. As a medic, as a cannabis activist, as somebody that's grown this plant for many years, had a lot of involvement with it. Right at this moment, if you saw those documents, those lab reports that come back, would you give chemo?
No.
No, simple.
Categorically, no.
Categorically, no. My argument
we
would
have
be,
a saying here in America: if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
We have a saying in England: if it ain't broken, you don't fix it. Yeah?
I want to let the listeners.
Now, wait.
I want to let the listeners know that all of these reports will be made available from seniormedicalcannabis.com and on the Facebook page. You don't have to worry about that.
And on Time for Hemp page. And we're going to set up another web page too. So these documents are real. I'd like to point out as well that when the doctor handed over the documents, I'm sure you don't mind me telling you this, we have the wet ink documents, not photocopies. We have wet ink ones.
You know, the one thing I would say, Steve, is because my heart is so involved in this, is that I'd like to see a few consecutive clean labs on a monthly basis. Say, like, if we can get a couple additional ones, then you know what? I would then have to lean heavily towards talking to the doctors about stopping.
All I can say then, Mr. News, is literally in the last week we've rented a little flat somewhere, and I've cooked up about another 400. Going back to dosages, right? We was giving 4 mil a day of this stuff. I've literally just cooked up somewhere in the region of about 500, 600 grams of this in the basic kitchen. If there's any mums out there with kids with leukemia that need treating, contact either Beth, News, myself, Time for Hemp, Dee herself, and we will give them what we gave Dahlia. And we'll see if we can repeat what happened. It could have been a miracle. It could have been the hand of God come down and saved us. Right? Who knows? Right? But as far as I'm concerned, this is built from an agricultural hemp crop, given to in high dosages, it's boiled in water, without any crazy stuff going on. That's what got back.
Absolutely. It has moved my heart. This entire hour is just, I have a box of Kleenex to the left of me, and listeners, it has been just so hopeful and just tearful that this story's been shared. Dee, we want to thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Well,
Steve, obviously it was very brave of you and amazing of you to fly to Transylvania to take this on personally. But clearly you're not buying into what other doctors are saying about going low and slow, are you?
We went hard and fast, and you see how much I'll give up.
Well, there's so much to do with this plant, and I'm really glad that earlier you brought up the whole plant. It's from the roots all the way to the flowers and in between, and the entourage effect is something that only recently has come to light, and it's something I really believe in. So I'm really glad you mentioned that.
It has.
Again, I've always believed it, but now we've got medical proof to back it up. And if that laboratory had done its job in Colorado and tested that stuff in 2 hours, tonight we would have even had the lab report back to tell you what it was.
Well, hopefully you'll get a lab report out of Florida too.
Well, possibly. Who knows? I mean, I can get one done here, but apparently it wasn't good enough. Yeah, and even an American one. We could have got one done in 2 hours here from the state laboratory.
Well,
unfortunately, as well, I like to mention that we don't even have enough money to go down the lab and get it tested. Yeah, we got no support. We're totally independent, me and Dave. Everything that we've done, we paid for ourselves, and it hasn't been a lot of money, but nevertheless, we've had to find the money to do this. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So listeners, this is when we talk about it. You need to support Steve, support Time for Hemp, support these efforts, because we do this because we believe in the plant. We believe in the power of the plant, and we're sharing with you stories of the plant. And Steve, those statues, they were beautiful. I would love to have them in each home.
You're going to get one. Because every time I do a cure, I'm going to make a statue.
There
from the
you
waste
go.
Material, from the trash.
There you go. And lab, that's right.
It's not going to last forever.
That's right. And I want to put a challenge out to the labs out there. If you want to go ahead and test this, you can contact us. Contact me personally at seniormedicalcannabis@gmail.com. We'll send it to you. You want to test it? Come right, just contact us. We'll let you. We want to see those low legal CDB numbers.
That's all we want
to help kids.
No, THC. As long as the THC.
I'm sorry, the THC. I'm sorry.
As long as that stands at 2%, we're in, because then it's agricultural hemp. And I can't for the life of me, because I'm not decarboxylated it. I've not aged it. I've taken a fresh living plant. That's at 2%. So there's no way that I could have raised the TVCA or the THCA or the THCV. I couldn't have raised those up to metabolize into THC, because that takes heat, time, or something else, because we all know that THC can convert into THC, man-made, if you like,
That's right. This means that there are parents out there that, if you're listening, contact any of us, and we'll make sure that you get the right information and get what you need.
Yeah, and that, if it's at 2%, and like I say, how can you take something and make it more THC? I'm sorry, we got to say it in English, you can't polish a turd. If you started at 2% and I've not raised all these methods that they know of raising the THCA into THC, then it can't be above the 2%. And if it's at this 2%, the UN says that 0.3%, it's agricultural hemp, it's legal, and they actually promote it, and they're not going to make any laws about it. A European law, 1993, says agricultural hemp below 0.3% is agricultural hemp, and that can be grown for fibre, for fuel, for everything. And all I'm saying is we'll take the whole bloody lot, put it in a pan of water and boil it down. Yeah.
There you go. And make it available for people.
Make it available for everybody.
It's just the same oil that you would be seeing on your health food stores, listeners, but it's not. It's the oil that's been loved, whole plant, cared for using pure water. Pure
spring water. And I must say that I do believe I've done it in 3 locations now. I've done it in Jamaica. I've done it in England. I've done it in Jamaica. I went back to England and done it again. I didn't get the results that I was looking for out of those particular seed varieties. It's the seed variety grown in the right conditions. And the right conditions are like French wine. A Beaujolais wine is grown in Beaujolais. A Champagne is grown in Champagne. It can be reproduced or copied in other places, but the true stuff stays at home. So I don't think you're ever going to be able to reproduce this seed in any other location to get these results. You might get close results. You might get good results. But if you want the real stuff, you've got to go to the real country to get it. And for me, that's where I am at the moment, Transylvania. And don't come all running over here thinking you're going to find out what's going on, because you won't. And if any scientists think they can, deconstruct what I've done, go away and waste 10 years of your life, because you never deconstruct it. because I vortexed it. And anybody that understands vortexing, that's smashing atoms together. It's one. And as Bob Marley said, one love.
One
when
love.
you put it all together, stir it in the right way, put it under the moonlight, give it some sunshine, then we got something that gives reports back that Dee has told you about tonight.
There
and
you
we publish those things.
There you go. Steve, on behalf of myself, I'm getting notes from Casper, and you know what that means.
Yeah.
Thank
we
you.
love the Casper.
You go ahead and give us the close, Steve.
No, you give us the close, baby. It was your stuff.
No.
Thank you so much for doing this. And I've got to tell you something, right? This little girl here, she moaned at me about all sorts of things, but she never questioned my methods, right? She never, and I was so scared some nights and so scared of what I was doing, yeah? But she never questioned it, and we've got the result that we wanted, which is a healthy little 4-year-old girl that, one, didn't have to suffer so much from all the poisonous chemo, and we believe we've cured her cancer from it. And the medical reports, as far as Mr. Muse is concerned, as far as I'm concerned, the medical reports prove that. One love, people. One love. Dee, love you, babe.
Thank you. On behalf of
A miracle to life.
You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. The only broadcasting network dedicated to ending the global war on drugs on iHeartRadio.